This is the Toplofty Lounge. We're in for a smooth show for you today. Oh yeah, baby. In 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, baby. Yeah, here we go. In 11, 10, 9. Oh yeah, baby. Here we come. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Toplofty Lounge, episode 49. Conversations for the Elevated. Welcome to all my fellow snobs. This week on the lounge, we're going to talk about the best and worst sci-fi movies. That's just the headline. We're going to talk, maybe if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about, best opening sequences for a sci-fi movie. I like that topic. I like that. I think it's a cool topic. A couple other things like that. But first, before we get into that, I have to, let me introduce my co-host. He is the bologna sandwich to my toasted tomato sandwich. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Hi. Sandwiches sound really good right now. I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, we need a longer opening sequence because I didn't have dinner, and I was eating a sandwich and I barely got the mouthful down. It's still sitting here.
Wait.
So if you hear me eating during the show, and mumbling, that's because I'm trying to finish my sandwich.
Okay, well, you do that for a second because I got breaking news.
Oh, what's that?
It says you have 271 followers. Is that a new high? Have you
271? No, that's low. We lost a couple hundred.
What are you talking about? You were at 260.
271.
I'm sorry. 571.
571. Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
We hit
so
a new high.
You were at 570. I think was the highest before. So we've dug our way out of the trench.
Well, we were like up to 567, and then we dropped 2, and then we gained a couple more.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, we must be doing something
every day
right.
is the highest for us. I mean, it's like,
right.
Dave doesn't want talking with him mouthful of food, please. Oh, okay.
All right, I'll fill in because I have nothing but water.
Yeah, I got water too. But all right, so let's say hello to Weatherman in the chat and Dave. Thanks, guys, for coming in. That's the only people who have made themselves known. And as we're talking about these things today, guys, the topic, don't be afraid to put in your best sci-fi, worst sci-fi movie, best opening sequence, that kind of thing. Yeah, we'll talk about those too. Yeah. Okay. But before, I have a little surprise too.
Do tell.
A small little surprise. Let's see. Let's get this going here. As we're, we always have our little opening. We always let the birds go, right? Everyone can watch the birds, but winter's over, right? It's May, so all the snow is finally melted.
Oh,
it's spring in by the dugout. So of course, you know what spring means, Cam. What does spring mean?
Less frozen ground.
That's true, but it's a time for love. That's right. Yeah. Time for love, and we have who are the greatest lovers? Of course, the frogs. So if you listen carefully, you should be able to. Unless I've screwed up the audio somehow, you should hear the croaking of the frogs.
Okay, let's all listen for 1 second. 5 seconds of silence.
I don't hear nothing.
Nope. Fail. Okay, well.
All right. Well, anyway, the frogs, they're croaking. I'll go back on it.
Move on to the what have we done this week?
And see if I can figure out what's going on. Maybe I'll put the frogs in the thing, but there are frogs on there and they're croaking, but we'll have them for next week, hopefully. But anyway, we can watch the pond. See if you see in the far right hand side there. You see if you can see the ducks moving around there. They'll come in and they'll start moving around. Anyway, one male, one female. It's love is in the air. Yeah. Look real close. Okay. So, what do you? Before we get started, Cam, what do you have to? No snow. See, look, the pond's not even frozen. I mean, well, it's May, right? So, May. Usually by May 1st, the last snowfall. So, no snow. Usually, never know. We've had snow in July before, so can't be in August. Anyway, so Cam, good week for you.
Yeah, it's been a really busy week. It had been a really busy week for me, so I actually had to work a little bit this weekend. Had a lot of events going on, uh, Friday night and such, and so I'm a little out of sorts, but nothing tragic going on, so I'm going to count that as a good thing. Uh, I did, however, being busy, I did squeeze in a little bit of time to play some Diablo 4, which I think I've mentioned before.
Really?
Yeah, they
You
had a
haven't
new
done that in a
season
long
start.
time.
Yeah, it's been pretty. Uh, I kind of jumped. They have these seasons, where they basically reset everything like every 3 months, and they run and because they want to pretend like they're adding content when they're really not. But um, I've kind of jumped in the last couple, and it's I didn't even level out, hit max level or anything. So, but this season I finally got through it and kind of broke through the barrier, and I'm getting caught up on all the various little small changes they've done. So
Yeah.
it's I'm having a decent time with it.
Well, I had a horrible day. I was, supremely depressed. I spent the whole day in bed,
Oh,
basically crying. Um, yeah, and I'll tell you, just for the audience, though, just let know how much work goes into the show and what I have to put up with. I mean, you guys should. I mean, I don't like to share, but I think I have to say this. So,
yeah, let it out.
I'm working today, getting ready for the show. And what do I get from my partner in crime in this whole show? Cam had to do a little. He was doing a little bit of research for a future show. He was looking at our past shows, and he mentioned to me, and I'm going to quote it exactly. Wow, we used to do much better shows. Unquote. Now, I mean, how am I supposed to take that? I mean, here we are. It's like we just said in the chat there. Um, this is show 49. That's one a week. That's like almost a year. And it's been a year. And even though we have more people who are watching the show live, usually,
Not tonight, right?
and we've been working on this for a year, we've actually gotten crappier. We're worse than we were. I mean,
Yep.
that's I mean, I thought we were doing better. Uh, I
Mm,
thought we were learning things and growing and all that good stuff. But apparently, according to Cam,
no,
we're
I
worse than
was
we used to be.
I was shocked
So
at how topical we were, and I'm referring specifically to one episode that I reviewed today. And it was like, wow, we really, I had, a list of things to go over and points to make and everything. And now I feel like we're just rambling idiots all the time. I think it's the double
you were just
show
talking about
thing.
yourself, though, right? Like you weren't talking about me.
Oh yeah, of course I wouldn't, cast
He
aspersions
was
on my
talking about me too. Everyone. I
boss.
mean, I took it
Well,
hard. I mean, you have to. Words hurt, Cam. Words hurt.
yeah, they hit like
They
a
can they
fist.
can
I'm
hurt.
told.
Yeah, yeah.
But the
The pen
point
is
is,
mightier than the sword.
I think it's because we were doing just one show a week, and I have very limited talent, and spreading it out over two shows, it gets very thin.
Half the talent
Yeah, exactly.
for each show. Yeah.
Hey, see, there's Michael. He says hello, rambling idiots. There.
So he agrees that we are. He agrees with Cam that we're rambling idiots. All right.
Thank
Well,
you, Michael, for backing me up on that.
I'll. I maybe we'll. I'll end the show early today, and I'll go back and cry in my bed,
Hmm.
with like I don't know. What is it? Take a whole
So
thing of ice cream or something. That's what you're supposed to eat when
yeah,
you're depressed.
exactly. So
That's what
so
the chicks eat,
let's
right?
let's review this. So you woke up, and you're like, oh, kind of hard night,
No,
and,
I,
and,
I
and you pick
woke
up
up.
your
I
phone.
jumped out of bed. I was all excited. Here we go! Yay! That's how. Okay, keep going.
Well,
Just
and
wanted to
then and
set
then
the
you
stage.
and then the first thing you see is a message from me. It's like, oh, message from Cam. Let's see what this is, and it's just like, you suck.
You suck. And so then I went straight back to bed. Cried myself back to sleep in a little fetal ball. Yeah. I just got up for the show because I got my kids were like, hey, poking me. You got to get up for the show.
Hmm.
What? You got a show? And I'm like, I don't want to do it. And they said, you got to do it. And they made me get up. And so here I am.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah,
Well,
that
we're
was my day.
doing it for you, audience of.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
look, six
I
people
had to. I
watching.
couldn't let the audience down.
All right.
even though the show is worse than anything we've ever done. Apparently, every show we do, it gets just a little worse. So go back to the first show and do that and watch that one.
Okay.
Be at our
Well,
peak.
okay. Coming to the rescue, though, next week, right? We have Tron coming up,
Movie night, yes. So
movie night. So we're going to actually have a topic, to go
we have a
through.
topic tonight.
Not really. But that'll be fun because Tron's a classic, and I think we can stay a little more focused and go through some sci-fi things. You know what I'd like to get back to though is I want to get back to a is it sci-fi? We haven't done that for quite a while, so
Well, we need a new area to look at. I mean,
yeah.
we've done
So
Bond movies. We've done we've kind of, it's
need
got
help
to,
from
like
the
I said,
audience.
it's got to be on the edge. Like it can't be like, is this science fiction movie sci-fi? Well, that's too easy, right? Yes. So we need a
Yeah.
good subgenre to look at. Yeah. No, I agree. We do have. Oh, speaking of movie nights, I was wondering about this. Is we're going to do Tron next week, but in the future, have you seen Excalibur? Cam?
Yes.
1982 version, I think.
Yes. In fact, I just got a copy on DVD for the first time.
Really?
Yeah, a couple months ago I picked it up. I haven't rewatched it though.
So I don't think I've seen it from beginning to end, but people were raving about how what a great it's like. One of the best fantasy movies. They
Okay.
say.
Don't
And I'm
watch it
like,
with your
wow,
don't
maybe we
watch it
should
with
put
your
that on the
kids.
list. Hmm?
Do not watch it with your kids.
Why not?
It is not.
It's not safer.
No, not at all. Do
It's
not
not
watch it with
PG,
your.
not PG
No,
13.
no, not at all.
Okay.
So don't do that. But I'll tell you what. There's a couple movies. So as some of you might know, I spent a lot of my youth playing role-playing games, which explains my Arrested Development.
Yes.
But Excalibur was one of those kind of uh, inspirational movies. In the old Dungeon Master's Guide and even the basic game, they have like in Dungeon Master's Guide it's called Appendix N, where they have like reading material that's basically inspirational for the game. And one of the movies that I would say falls into that kind of thing for me would be Excalibur, and the other one being Krull. Those were two huge ones um, that really shaped things. So I can't ever separate that from my personal history. So that would be interesting. It's not sci-fi, but uh, if you
Might be
want
a
to go
good
through it,
thing too. Yeah. And
Hey, Elvis, welcome.
I may have seen parts of it and stuff, but I don't remember. I don't think I've seen the whole thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, all right.
it's got a great soundtrack. It really is. There would be a lot to discuss there.
We'll have to put it on the list.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have some fans of the movie. Maybe we could get a guest to come in and talk about it too.
Sure.
All right.
Or
Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Aldous. Good to see you in the chat. Let's go to the. Shall we go to the? We ready to get going? Go to
sure.
the.
Yeah, just one thing. Yeah, Dave. James Horner, awesome. Yeah, fantastic.
Let's go to the topic for the day. So yeah, we're going to talk about some of the best and worst science fiction movies, the best opening scenes, all that. Oh, PBR Street Gang's here. Welcome. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to. All right. We'll have to keep. Yeah. I'll have to keep away from that. My eyes. I am very delicate. Okay. So before we go into the best and the worst, I thought we would start out. It's May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Star Trek or Star Wars, all that stuff. I mean, Star Wars hasn't been doing very well lately, and I'm kind of, but I thought before we get started, we should talk about the best and worst Star Wars movies. Cam, let's start on a happy note. Let's start the best. Your best.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. I'll preface this by saying that uh, I loved Rogue One in a lot of ways. I know that I'll probably get some heat from people because it's a Disney movie, but I really did like that movie. Uh, Not really for the main plot, but kind of the side things. I think it was a model of how Star Wars movies outside of the Skywalker saga directly could have been done well.
The
But go
the
ahead.
practical effects were really made it to me for me. You
Okay,
know,
sure.
like the explosions and the dirt raining down and stuff. Like the realness of it, the grittiness. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and I love the Rebellion era, so it was
Yeah.
the only real thing there.
But
Uh,
of all the Star Wars movies,
yeah,
which is the
uh,
best?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Empire. I know that sounds a little trite at this point. It's hard for me to separate out the trilogy because I do love them, the original trilogy. I do love them all for their own reasons. If the original Star Wars. Uh, you can't replace that experience. But I had another awesome experience with when Empire came out because I mean there was not like it's not like today where you have all this media, of course, and returning to the Star Wars universe after 3 years. I mean, I did read some books and things, but on screen, Empire was. Uh, I mean, it's I I'm having trouble describing it. It's like, oh, Star Wars brought this, my tiny little brain to a certain level in terms of entertainment, and then
Mm-hmm.
where you think you can't go any higher, and then Empire did. It just
Yeah.
jumped up again. It was like, you know, um, it was just
Most
fantastic.
sequels are not as good as the original,
Right.
right?
And but then I also have to say, Return of the Jedi also blew me away. It was, there was no amongst people I knew, no one hated Ewoks. All that stuff came later to us. It was just like, yeah, this is awesome. Luke with with the lightsaber and I can't tell you how many times I reenacted that. The scenes of the Sarlacc pit and everything, and a pool, a diving board and all this. I didn't, of course, do the flips around. I just hit my one part of my body or another on the diving board, but it was worth it. So the whole thing. But I think just in the way that it came together, Empire is the best. It has a look that holds up to this day. Star Wars, it does look a little dated in some ways, but Empire doesn't to me. Um, so I got to go with Empire.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, I'll agree that I like Rogue One too, but it's not. It's the only Disney Star Wars movie that is worth anything. And again, I think Empire is the best. Um, the entire the ending where it's not not bookended and it's all the reveal, all that stuff is very good. And a close second to that, very close, is the original Star Wars, because that's a very good movie. I find it does, I like it still. I find it
It
holds
it
up.
does hold
I don't
up.
have any
Uh,
I don't have
it,
any complaints.
it holds up fine. It's just the look, like the hairstyles and things look a little rooted in the
Yeah.
70s.
I think Empire is a better film. Uh, I always forget who directed Empire, um, but I think it was the director.
It was Irving Kershner.
Irving Kershner directed it. Yeah, and I read that there's two big Star Wars books out about how the making of, and I remember reading the Empire, the making of Empire, and he would get down and he would go and he would he'd do all the stuff during the day, and I remember reading from 8 to 10 every night he would go into his office and get his typewriter and he'd rewrite the dialogue for the next day's shoot, and some of that dialogue is very good. Excellent. He does an excellent job. Did anyone know the original name for Return of the Jedi? It was for Revenge of the Jedi, of course, as uh, Cam has said, and they changed it because hey, come on, revenge is not. That's not what Jedi do. And actually, as a young kid, I got into a big argument at school with some of my friends, and they're like, it's Return of the Jedi. I go, yeah, but it was originally called. It was going to be called Revenge of the Jedi, and blah blah blah. And they're like, no, it was always. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we agree. I'll just quickly comment on Return of the Jedi. It was a little. I know you say that we all. I was a little bit when I got in the theater and I was like, "What? Another Death Star?" I was like, "Ugh," but I just like, okay, we'll go with it. I thought they could have come up with something, different. And then, and I was a little bit, I was old enough. I didn't, Ewoks, teddy bears didn't, hold anything for me. And I was kind of like, and then, of course, seeing them hit the heads of the stormtroopers with a stick and they fall down and stuff. I mean, just imagine if you remade that movie exactly the same. And instead of, Ewoks, they were all Wookiees beating the crap and pulling their legs and arms off. That would have been awesome. But anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
I think they supposedly the story is that Lucas dropped that idea because Chewbacca showed Wookiees to be technologically adept and everything, and they wanted to have something that wasn't. But I think it still could have worked, with Wookiees just as well.
Yeah, you could just have more more stormtroopers, less Wookiees, right?
Yeah. Well, they brought the Wookiees in Revenge of the Sith, so
Yeah.
finally got back to it. But hey, since those are the only 3+1 movies that matter, I guess we can be done.
No, we have to do.
No.
They still count. Okay, worst Star Wars movie. I think we'll probably agree on this one too.
Well,
Go ahead.
I never saw the last one, whatever it was called.
Oh, really?
Episode 9. I was out
Well,
at that point. So Last Jedi is obviously the worst, in my opinion. And I suspect if I did see the last one, what was the last one even called? Oh, Rise of Skywalker. That I would still think Last Jedi was the worst.
Okay, well, I have seen all of them, and I would say that you really should see for the channel. You should see the movie.
Nope.
It's on TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Last Jedi is really bad. I mean, I think it's the worst because of the way it the director purposely goes out and says, I'm going to take good storytelling and throw it out the window, and I'm going to do a bunch of wacky shit and just do whatever I want, and I'm not going to follow any of the rules of any good storytelling. I think that's why it's the worst. But Rise of Skywalker is pretty bad too. It's just I'm going to try to fix everything, and I'm going to make up a bunch of crap, and it's going to go. I'm just like, oh. I saw a. This is kind of the capper on it. I don't know if you know this scene. The very last scene, after everything's resolved, Rey goes back to Tatooine and buries a lightsaber. And some old lady comes by and says, "Hey, you, what's your name?" And she goes, "Rey." And everyone just like, Rey Skywalker. She takes his name, right? Like that's the whole meme with the Palpatine. Yeah. She's a Palpatine. But anyway, somebody was filming that in a filming the crowd when that happened. And she delivers the line, Rey Skywalker, and everybody just screams and just goes, "Oh my god, I can't believe it!" And a bunch of people stand up and they storm out of the theater and they go, "Oh, this is bullshit, as always." They're booing and they're just like,
how did they not have a test audience for that?
Pandemonium. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I felt. I was just like, oh, come on. Yeah, they fly now. Yeah, I mean, Solo wasn't good. Some people like Solo. I didn't like it. I thought it was just stupid. But it wasn't. At least it didn't. Throw off the ideas of good storytelling, like Last Jedi, and then just mangle everything up. They fly now. Somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah. The Rise of Palpatine is the worst of all. That or Solo. Last Jedi is pretty. I mean, I have to disagree. Last Jedi is worse. But it's close. It's close.
Hey,
Um,
though, if anybody's curious about if Last Jedi could have been saved, could have been made into a workable movie, you could see
yes,
episode 2 of Top Lofty Lounge and see
that's
if we accomplish that.
that's right. Yeah. Okay, what do we got here? TLJ is the bottom of the. It's below bottom. I think it's just horrible.
Yeah.
They fly now. Yeah, they fly now. Somehow Palpatine returned. I mean, it's pretty bad. Uh,
But let's not
yeah,
dwell on that.
you should see the sequel trilogy, Michael, just so you know how bad it is, so you can.
No, there's some things that really aren't
Yeah,
worth it.
I don't know. I don't think. I actually don't. I mean, I blame her for hiring these idiots, but I actually think that most of the movie is probably there. Like Last Jedi, I think is Ryan Johnson's thing. I don't. I think she's too stupid to look at the movie and go, "Hey, this sucks. Let's redo it from the start." But I don't think she had. I don't think she had any ideas.
Well,
Maybe she did. I don't
apparently
know.
they were in for Solo because I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but they did have a whole different team, and then they
Yeah, that was just.
redid most of it, I guess.
Yeah, that was just. It's a bad movie.
I don't know. I didn't dislike Solo that much. It was one of those things that came after the Last Jedi, and I think it really got dragged down by the bad press. I'm not saying it's a great movie by any
Yeah, it's
means, but
just.
there were some things I liked about it, and some things obviously that could have been done way better.
Oh, like what? I mean, the guy gets his name from the thing.
Well,
He puts
okay,
his
that
gun
could
together.
have
I
been done
mean,
better.
it's
Could have been.
like it's all about like all he had to do was a good, good story. He meets up with Chewie, and they do some,
Well,
um,
honestly,
you know, a little bit of backstory. Start him out. He's in the academy. Because he's an academy,
yeah,
an Imperial pilot. Start him
yeah.
out there. He goes out. He decides that he meets up with Chewie in some sort of situation. Then they do some, smuggling stuff. They didn't have to bring in. Oh,
I
we
think
got
it
to
would have.
make sure everything he gets, he's got to be in there, and then
Yeah,
we got to. Didn't have to put Lando in there. I mean,
no, I think Lando should have been in there, but I think it also should not have been a movie. It probably should have been a TV series, like a mini series or something, like
you
six part
can
mini series or something.
Lando can show up in the
You know,
next movie. I mean, it doesn't have to be right.
uh, they again all of these IPs they want to burn through stuff super fast. So yeah, you won't get an argument from me that going slower would be better, and that's why I like the television format more.
Yeah,
But you know, I, I I think it
Dave
I
makes a
think
good
it
point
could have
there.
I
Yeah,
think it could have been done well. I mean, and it's not. And when I say it's a C kind of movie, I'm not going to say it's great, but I mean, I would watch that every day over the Last Jedi. I mean, no doubt.
yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe eventually we'll know what happened to these movies, but they're just garbage. Poorly done.
Hmm.
Bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can we stop wasting our
All
time on Star Wars then?
right. Okay. Let's go. What would you like to do first, Cam? What would you like to do? What does the audience want? Do you want to do some of the best sci-fi movies, some of the
Well,
worst sci-fi movies? I think we'll
okay.
do the worst later, maybe.
The Weatherman already contributed, so let's respect
What
our
he
audience.
contributed? What did he
Yeah,
say?
he said Star Wars or 2001
As some of the
for
best movies?
I believe so. Yeah, for the
Okay,
best
well,
opening. Best opening.
best opening. You want to do the best opening? You know what? That is the most interesting thing. So let's do best openings. Okay. So I got my list. All right. So Star Wars, definitely one of the best openings of a science fiction movie. You've got the crawl, and then the ship goes by, and the ship is big, something's shooting at it, and you're like, wow, where that ship comes from? Well, it's so big. And of course the Star Destroyer comes afterwards, and it's even way huge, and it's just chasing them down there. And then you've got, the ship gets taken over, the whole Vader scene where he comes in, the door blows, a couple guys run through, some of them get shot, and he comes through. Just, you're like, great
I
opening scene.
I agree. It was now where you cut the opening scene. I mean, is one thing, but if we're going all the way through, when the stormtroopers bust in and everything, I absolutely love that scene. All the all the rebel troopers running and taking their positions and everything. Again, that was something that, that I replayed with my brother when we were little kids, a million times, like hiding in doorways and stuff, and with our makeshift laser guns and things, and fantastic. I mean, that whole scene just blew me away when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
mean, I was just mesmerized by it.
Yeah. I mean, opening scene for me, like you could go 5 minutes if you want, first five
Sure.
minutes if you want
Yeah,
to,
that's fair. It's yeah,
yeah, whatever, whatever you want to do.
the opening shot, I guess, was the Star Destroyer. So it's
Yeah. I'm talking opening scene. So,
yeah.
first couple minutes,
Well,
whatever it
and
is,
you got
the
R2D2 and
opening of the film.
C3PO, kind of coming in and their introduction into it, and the whole,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they just packed, a little bit of exposition in there that gave you an idea where you were going with it, and the situation being desperate and everything, and
Good filmmaking.
absolutely. I mean, it was, uh, I love it, absolutely love it.
Okay. 2001. That was on my list as well.
Okay,
Go ahead. You start this one.
no, no, Weatherman, you go ahead.
Weatherman.
I
It's
mean, the whole,
Weatherman.
it's a lot of monkeys, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of monkeys. And they're
Um,
what, beating things with sticks and stuff.
well, they didn't start out. Okay, so it's a little hard to understand. I think the book uh, deals with it a lot more in depth, but it's workable. On a simplistic level, it's basically you have these primitive pre-humans um, that are basically just victims of either other tribes, or the predatory cat that's just killing them at will, and they can't do anything about it. And the book actually goes into describing that better, because when you get into the mind, the primitive mind of these pre-humans, and that it's like they can't even conceive of these things. It's like their minds are so simplistic that they're animals basically. And then of course the monolith shows up, and then things change. They begin, uh, well, they learn to fight back, defend themselves, and kill and eat meat.
They learn to
and
kill.
and their development takes off at that point, in which then they they use those skills to gain dominance over their fellow monkey men. um, and then of course the famous end to that scene with the victory throwing the bone up in the air, and then coming back down as a spacecraft,
Yeah.
or a
That's
satellite, I
really,
guess it was. But
really well done.
yeah,
I got to agree with Weatherman. I agree with Cam with that. And I agree with Weatherman here too. I think the music in the opening scene makes it opening even better. Yeah, that's a great example of great music, just adding so much to the scene.
yeah.
Great opening scene.
Now,
Okay.
on the other hand, I think a lot of people cannot watch that movie because they can't get past that. I'm not saying that's a good
What's
thing.
with the monkeys?
Right. They just get stuck on that, and they're like, this is dumb, and it doesn't work for them. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. It's you know you can I've watched various criticism of it. There's these people that are super pro, and then other people that are super
Mm-hmm.
negative towards it. And I still like it. I think it's a brilliant piece of filmmaking in a lot of ways. But listening to criticism of it, I'm also like, well, okay, I could see where these things are not. It's not as perfect as my first impression of it. But I still, it's one of my top 10 movies of all time.
I recently rewatched it maybe a year or two ago. It's fairly fresh in my mind. It is pretty slow, eh? Like it starts off pretty
Oh yeah,
slow. There's all these scenes. They're going through the ship. I mean, they're well done for especially when you think about it's
this is pre moon landing.
1960s. Yeah, at pre moon landing, it's pre any type of computer generated graphics or
Right. It was
special
animation that they
effects.
used for what would have been computer graphics, where it was actual animation.
Yeah, the girl she walks down up the wall, kind of, so to speak.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's really you look at it that way, you're like, wow, that's really good, really well done.
Yeah, and
But
I
it
love
is a little slow. But
I love the scenes on the Discovery though, with the astronauts and Hal. And and again, it's one of those things that if you don't mind that kind of thing, watching other people's breakdowns of these and analysis of it is pretty interesting.
I enjoyed the middle because I always remember the beginning and then the end. Of course, everyone knows how. But the middle of the scene was, the middle of the movie. I forget where he's on the station, and you can see the curvature of the station. Like you're looking, they
Hmm.
went so far that you could see that, and they're talking to Russians, and they're just, they're being a little bit, he's being a little cagey about why he's there and stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, oh, there's a lot going on. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
liked it.
rediscovered it.
I like the world that they had built around that. It did get pretty cosmic, of course, with the other stuff, but the again, being a setting nerd, I really like that. And I think, well, 2010 was also, I really like that movie. I think, I saw it when it came out. At the time I was really into 2001, and 2010 came up around the time that I had discovered 2001, not too long after. And I don't know that it's that well liked, but I think it really is a pretty good movie.
I haven't seen 2010 recently, so
Mm.
I gotta go back and watch that. All right, I'm gonna move on. I think this one will be quick. I recently just watched this again. Back to the Future. Uh, pretty quick. There's so much. Again, Robert Zemeckis. So much built in the first scene. Right, the first scene starts off with you've got all these clocks. You're in the doc's, work room, whatever, and he's got all these clocks, and then you've got his device here, which is getting his thing all set up, giving the dog food, getting his breakfast ready and stuff, and it does all that. And Marty comes in, blows up the thing, gets blows up the speaker, gets a phone call, when the clocks go off, and he's like, "Oh, my clocks are all together. That means they're 25 minutes late." What, 25 minutes? Oh, I got to go to school. And he takes off, and they start with the music, and him skateboarding there. Really well done. Like I said, I forced my kids to watch it recently, all three of them, and yeah, it's a great opening scene. And I said, "Look at that opening scene. What do you guys think of that?" Like, yeah, it's good. They got it even for kids. And like, yeah,
Well,
they were a little bit like, I can't believe he's skateboarding behind the car holding the bumper. That was their big takeaway. But I was like, no, look at the film. Anyway, I think I got the
well,
great opening
this
scene.
I've seen in part Back to the Future about 500 times, probably because when I was in my early high school years, we really got into playing poker. So there was one kid's house whose parents either worked nights or didn't care or whatever. So this is where the den of iniquity was happening with this poker playing.
Mm.
And they had some bootleg copy of, I think it was Beverly Hills Cop, Back to the Future. The hours I was there, Back to the Future was playing. So I've seen it an untold number of times, but almost never the whole movie, right? So I've probably only seen the beginning twice, in my life, but uh, the rest of it a lot. Oh, Weatherman brings up a good one. Okay, we should talk about that.
All right, you want to do Blade Runner next?
Sure.
You want to go first?
Uh, sure. We've got, so this is where uh, you're seeing, if, as I recall, this is where you see Leon, right? Where he's uh, getting tested, right?
Well, you got to go back a little bit
Okay,
before.
maybe I'm forgetting that.
Rewatched the opening scene just for part of it, up to where I only watched up to where you're gonna start talking. But yeah, I mean, it starts pretty boring, really. As you've got the names, and then the opening crawl, reminiscent of Star Wars. And then, I mean, this is pretty good though. Then all of a sudden, you've got the shot of Los Angeles, which is a lot bigger. You're kind of in a flying car. There's a flying car that goes by you, of course. It's like you're in a flying car. The Hades landscape, Dave says. That's exactly the kind of idea. You've got all this fire coming up from various points in Los Angeles. I don't even. I don't even think there's a reason for that, but they just did it. And they've got, you've got the Tyrell Corporation's got these huge sort of pyramid shaped buildings are dotting the landscape in certain areas, and it's completely urbanized. And then excuse me, and then the we follow the flying car, and it comes into Tyrell, and then it cuts to what Cam is going to talk about. You've got a guy in a suit, and he's sort of sitting there. They're standing there at his desk, and then I think they start with Leon. Go ahead, Cam.
Yeah, so you've got a Blade Runner who's okay. So I think the opening it talks about the rogues, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
it gives you the usual backstory.
yeah,
Replicants.
it's the Voight Comp test, which is basically the only way they have to really distinguish between humans and replicants. So they're Leon is kind of a big dumb guy, and and the Blade Runner's questioning him. They have this thing that's basically looking at his eye and his reaction. It's kind of like a polygraph test, analog. So I'm trying to remember. There was one. Oh, it's like he's like you see a tortoise or whatever, and Leon's like, "What's a tortoise?" And he's like, "You know what a turtle is?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Same thing." So it's just this the way that it's delivered. The guy's just like, and I think he's smoking. I think he was smoking. The Blade Runner, and it's just like it's like he just doesn't care. He's kind of doing this whole thing, and then Leon basically figures out that he's going to get made, so then he kills him, um, and then it's kind of on from there. So
Yeah,
but I was skipping to I was remiss in skipping the opening scene that set the stage very well. You saw all these atmospheric shots and things, which is fantastic.
yeah.
Um,
I'm not a keen fan of the opening, crawl. I know Star Wars does it, Dune does it, but I'm not a big fan of it, but they do it.
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Blade Runner. But like I mentioned with Excalibur, Blade Runner was a very core sci-fi inspiration for go figure role playing, that I did in my, teenage years. Um, it's just one of those. I mean, it's again another movie that the setting and the atmosphere just are unbelievably evocative. Um, so right up my alley.
Yeah. I'm not trying to ignore you guys in the chat. I'm kind of trying to keep away from sci-fi horror. I'm thinking maybe we have to. There's a lot of sci-fi horror. We have to do that separately. Like it's kind of a separate. But the Thing is a good. I'm not a big fan of horror, but of course, The Thing is a good sci-fi horror movie, and arguably Alien is a sci-fi horror. Both good movies. All right.
Well, okay. Uh, Can we just talk about the opening of Alien real quick?
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, well, just again, it's a very it's kind of a slow start. It's got the whole thing with the ship travel, and if I'm remembering the soundtrack right, it's this real kind of somber, um, slow uh, tune that's going with it as they're they're setting the stage, and then they have the whole thing where you start to see the interiors of the ship and them being, as the computers waking up and all that, and it's just again it sets uh, gets you in the right frame of mind for what kind of world you're going to be seeing this story in. So I I love those kind. Maybe that was common for them, because we're talking about these things and they do have some similarities, where they're basically showing you the setting, right? Um, yeah, Dave, you say the opening music is very atmospheric. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I was going to say about that. Is I really do enjoy those kinds of.
Yeah, while you're mentioning it, I'm just pulling it off. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, it's Alien is opening movie, very atmospheric, very um, eerie. You get the whole emptiness. You kind of feel the emptiness of space, sort of thing. I mean, it's mainly for the credits and stuff.
Yeah. But I
And
like it.
then there's a shot of the the Nostromo from far away, and they come up to it. But yeah,
okay. So good.
All right, here is Michael. Oh, Michael's beating me to the punch for everything. That's the next one I'm going to talk to. Terminator 2. Yeah, so it starts out with you've got the key part. I mean, Michael's got the key part of it, but it starts out with it's a scene, a Los Angeles, like one of the the mega. I don't know what the mega highway is called, whatever that highway is called. It's a scene of that, lines and lines of cars. You see the heat coming off the asphalt in the picture. It's you can tell, and then it cuts to a playground, and the kids are swinging on the playground. They're all happy and everything. And then there's a burst of bright light in the far distance, and then it was just obviously a nuclear blast, wipes them all out, and then it cuts to a whatever 40 years later, 2029, and you've got all this burnt out, you've got skulls and burnt out cars, everything destroyed, rusted, and Sarah Connor is giving the overview about how 3 billion people died in that first day. We call it Judgment Day. And then you come to the first you have the Terminator's metal foot crushing up a human skull on top of a bunch of other skulls. That's exactly it. And then it goes into and then the Terminator turns and looks, and there's a battle scene going on in the background, and then there's the whole battle scene. It just starts off with real punch in the gut there. Everything. That's a great start.
And it ramped up. It kind of was like kind of slow, and then boom, takes off.
Oh, it's L.A. Oh, wait, nuclear. Oh, everyone's dead. Oh, there's a big fight going on. Lots of lasers, and and the whole scene with the Kyle Reese and everything like that. Really well done. Well done. That was on my list there. Still say the third Terminator movie should be in the future with John defeating Skynet. T1 and T2 were good. I kind of like T3. I was okay with T3, but I would agree that they should have went. The other ones after that, they get a little fuzzy and stuff. Time travel, it gets all. You got to keep away from that as much as you can. I mean, the fourth movie was technically the future with John Connor, because it was what's his name there, Batman, fighting. The fourth movie was fighting. They were fighting the future. They weren't, and they were trying to defeat Skynet, right? So it kind of was, the fourth one was kind of like that, but I don't know. It didn't get a very good. Didn't do very well.
If we were doing good shows, we would have these things and we would be showing these clips, so we could all be sharing together.
So we could be demonetized. Wait, we're not monetized anyway.
Oh, right. See,
we're not monetized anyway. I try to keep away from that, because then you get copyright strike.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want your channel taken away for copyright infringement, but yeah. Okay.
I did, for your convenience, though, I did link the opening scene for Alien.
Okay, so there was PBR Street Gang. Everyone's beating me to the punch. Okay, let's talk about Matrix. That was one of on my list too. Cam, do you remember the Matrix? Do you want to?
No, I don't remember the beginning of that at all.
You don't remember how it starts?
Nope.
I
would have had time to review these things if we would have, prepared.
We're talking. I mean, it's the entire fight scene with Trinity, where she, they like, oh, you should have, you get down to the cops going up, and the Smith and Jones and the agents arrive, and they're like, oh, you should have waited for us. He's like, I can think my guys can take care of one of the girls. Nope, your guys are already dead. Then it goes up to the top, put your hands up, and that's when she starts beating them, and she's jumping off the walls and doing these impossible, um, these impossible moves, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, I think it starts out with, I think the line is bugged. Yeah, and then of course I would say that ends with her, going into the
phone
booth
booth.
and disappearing. Right. So that's probably the that whole scene. Good fight. I mean, that's a good 5 minutes. Good fight scene. Everything. So yeah, well done. It was well done. Dune. Which version of Dune? Let's talk about that. Was one on my
The
list as
original.
well. The original. Uh, the 2.5 hour cut of
The controversial opening.
The original Dune. I mean, it starts out. It's a big exposition dump, which I'm not a big fan of. But I mean, they do it pretty well, and the actress they use for her. Whenever I think of Princess Erland, I always think of her. Like, she just seems like the
Virginia
perfect.
Madsen.
Yeah, she seems like the perfect, person for that role. But what's her name? Pugh did it, and she's the girl from the newer movies.
Yeah, she looked good for
She
that.
looked pretty good too. I have to admit. She kind of. I'm like, all right, I'll buy that. I buy her too. But yeah, Virginia Madsen. She always. That's how I think Erland should look.
All right, I'll agree.
I have not seen the. There was a 3.5 hour cut. I have not seen the 3.5 hour cut. And I have the original Dune on Blu-ray or something. But my God, jeez. Yeah, she's yeah. I won't say anything, but yeah. All right. So yeah, Dune I had on there. Let's see. I think that's all. Those are all my best ones. But let's get into ones that Ken probably won't like. Now, do you remember? Did you see Avatar?
No.
No. Okay. You know what that was on?
So I'm sure it sucked though.
It was on my list of. It's on some lists of good opening scenes. I kind of, the movie is not, in my view, is not great. I mean, I saw it in the theater when it first came out, of course, the 3D hype, and it was amazing. An amazing visual feast. Everything looked so real, and just the storyline wasn't that great. But yeah, I'm curious to see what the chat thinks. I didn't think the Avatar opening was that great. It starts out there on the ship, and of course, there's a couple of flashbacks, and then the main protagonist wakes up. I mean, it's kind of cool. You see them, they're on the ship. They're kind of getting out. They've been in, almost 6 years. They've been in cryo sleep. They're getting out, and they're trying to get themselves sorted out. But I didn't think it was that great. Avatar, yeah, the James Cameron version, the Blue People one. Yeah. So I didn't. What about okay? Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. You have seen that?
Nope.
No, Cam, come on. The opening. Yeah, it was a little bit boring. Yeah, I haven't rewatched it or anything. It's not really. Yeah, the opening for. I mean, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Very popular French comic book. Not. The movie was not great. It had some things going for it. It's what's his name who did Fifth Element. It's a little colorful and stuff,
Ugh.
but well, it's got that look to it. I don't mind that. When it fits. The opening scene is good though, because it's got the city of a thousand. This city of a thousand planets. There's a little. I think is it a crawl or a voiceover? I can't remember. Talks about the city of a thousand planets, and then it starts out. It starts out at the beginning of us going into space, and then goes beyond that. And it used ground control to Major Tom is the music over it, and it has us meeting all of these various different aliens at different points in the different levels of technology until we get to where we are. And the city of a thousand planets is like a big, asteroid-sized space station that we've built up, and there's all kinds of aliens, every different type there. Luc Besson. Yeah, thanks. Um, Valerian looked nice, but it was disappointing. Yeah, the biggest thing on that movie is that there's supposed to be a romance between Valerian and what's her name, the sergeant with there. I mean, they are the worst chemistry between a man and a woman ever. I was thinking, watching that, I'm going, what? We should do a thing on movies where the two leads, male, female, have the worst chemistry. Theirs was horrible. They're supposed to be in love and all this, they're supposed to like each other, be hot for each other. Ugh, nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah, Luc Besson. The movie was a bastardization of the original story. Yeah, again, I think this is Cam's criticism. They tried to stick everything in there too quick in that movie as well. Valerian was a prime example of a skin suit, if I ever seen one. They were trying to do where they're wearing it. I've never read the comic, so I can't comment. But I mean, apparently it's quite a long. There's it's got many graphic novels to it, so they're trying to cram everything in. Okay, extended Avatar cut on Blu-ray is better, showing life on Earth, his brother being incinerated, laid to rest when his sleep streams. But not a great opening. I mean, like I said, I think of these ideas. I go on and I see, I get ideas from people. Say, I'm like, oh, get a list of who thinks what is the top 100 or whatever best opening scenes, and that was on there, and I didn't think it was that great an opening scene. It's kind of, actor chemistry was terrible too in the movie. Yeah, it was. Which are you talking about, Valerian again? Yeah, it was just horrible. What's her name? It was Dane. He played. He was in the Amazing Spider-Man. He played what's his name? Peter Parker's brother, or sorry, friend Harry Osborn. And she is, she's done a bunch of stuff, but there was no chemistry between the two of them. Now, apparently she's bisexual or something like that. So, but she's supposed to be an actor. So she's supposed to be able to act. But there was I was like, I remember watching the movie at the beginning going, these two people are supposed to like each other. What's going on? And then it just got worse as the movie went on. But yeah, should have taken that whole part out. Anyway. Okay, Cam, do you have any other good opening scenes? I've kind of gone through my main list of the ones that I wanted to mention. Yeah. You still there?
Yeah, I am. I hate to do it, but returning to Star Wars for a second.
Sure.
I think all three of the original trilogy, because again, you start out with the Empire, uh, and in Empire you start with where they're sending out the probe droids and everything. Again, it's like it was very effective in bringing you into where this story is going to go. The Empire's still out there, still, because again, if you were a normie and you just watch it, say, oh, the Death Star was destroyed, they're pretty much done. No, I guess that Darth Vader guy was still around, and it's like, well, okay, now you're really, um, you're really, they're back into it. They're not defeated. Um, and then you've got
Just a
Return
minor
of the Jedi,
setback.
right? And then you've got Return of the Jedi, where you've got this. I think that's where you started out, and you have the whole approach, uh, where where Vader's coming to the Death Star being built, and that's obviously a huge reveal for so the starting point of the movie, and then going through where he's where he's having his conversation with the station commander and everything, and he ends with the emperor's not forgiving his eye. As of course we saw throughout Empire, he was just slaughtering his underlings. So that was a great capper to that opening scene. So in terms of all three great openings. Um, Back on that, I'm trying to remember any other ones that are really standouts in the
Yeah,
sci-fi.
I'm just looking real quick at the Return of the Jedi. It's you've got the half built um, uh, Death Star in the background, and you've got again a ship flying over. I think it's a Star Destroyer flying over towards, like, taking up the whole screen, flying towards the thing.
Hmm.
You get some cuts and looks at the thing, and then of course him landing on the station.
Yeah,
Vader landing on the station. Yeah,
well, it also it sets up for later on, because Vader comes, in the shuttle, which
yeah,
the which play that shuttle is it features, uh, in the movie, nicely, and he's got I think just like two escorts, two fighter escorts, and then they come back later when the Emperor's coming in on his shuttle, and it's like, oh, you see this, and then you see a fleet of of escorts coming in. So I thought, that was a nice, because this is the first time we ever really saw the Emperor. I mean, you saw him in the hologram in
yeah. We don't
in
see the
Empire.
Emperor in the first two movies, basically.
Right, yeah, just a hologram scene, and then so it's like, oh, this now you're it was a very effective way to show, uh now this is the real boss, right? I mean, because uh
Yeah, and he's this
and like
hunched over little man, right? And he looks
right.
real evil, and he's got an ugly face and stuff. But you're like, ugh.
Right, but it's again, it calls back to the beginning, because again, you see the arrival of Vader on a shuttle and just these few things, and then you see the arrival of Palpatine and the contrast between the level of protection that he has. Um, so that just struck me as really cool.
Yeah. I mean, and then again, Star Wars. They mention the Emperor, but you don't see anything of it in the first movie. Second movie, you just see this little
Yeah,
hologram.
barely mentioned in the
Yeah,
first
he's
one. I
barely
mean,
he's
one
barely
line.
mentioned. Well, yeah, it's just like, oh wow, okay, there's all this someone else. And then I mean, again, you're talking about two movies in before we see the big bad guy. I mean, that's
Um,
trying to get that way. Get that slow burn, slow reveal.
mhm.
Um,
I'm trying to think. Star
yeah,
Trek first. Oh,
let
go
me
ahead. Go
go
ahead.
over. Let's go over what Michael's talking about. Dread. Um, the Carl Urban. I actually watched that last night again. What uh, opening scenes? What are you talking about, Michael? Why is like I saw I saw it last night, and the opening scene is, of course, the talk about Mega City One, and you've got all the stuff, and, in the the way the Mega City One, 800 million people, built on the wastes of nuclear holocaust or whatever, and then the opening. I mean, that's drones in the air and stuff. Everybody watching, you know, computer generated look down and that kind of stuff. And then it goes to Dread, and he's kind of sideways turned. He's putting on his stuff, and then he puts on his. You don't see his face, and he slides his helmet on. It's like a side shot. Like that's when you first see him. What do you mean about how is that more? Um, it's more impactful knowing the source material. What what do we miss in that scene? Um, like if you don't know the source material as well, I wouldn't like. I would say that for Dread, that's the opening scene. There is it's a good opening scene, but I would not put it up there as like one of the best opening scenes. It's it's fine, nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't like just hammer you. Um, uh, I guess maybe I mean if you count the first 5 minutes of it, where he then he then leaves and he goes out, he's driving out, he gets a call, and of course there's lots of mayhem and killing, but yeah. For fanboys, you have expectation of the film. If they met, your heart bursts with joy. Yeah. I'm not a, I don't know Dread that well. I've seen the movies and stuff, and I enjoy it, but I don't know the source material. I haven't read, the comic books or any of that. But yeah, I would say Dredge is a good opening scene. I wouldn't rate it up there with one of the best, but good and appropriate myself. But anyway, sorry, Cam, you were going to say something else. Go ahead.
I was gonna talk about Star Trek First Contact, but I was forgetting it's really the second scene that I like more, which was when basically the Borg cube is coming towards Earth, and it's like, oh crap, and then it's kind of the a little bit similar to what you were saying with Terminator 2, and then then it pops right into a battle, where they start getting hit by the Starfleet guys that are defending, and then
Of
war. Go ahead.
yeah,
What?
yeah, I was going to say of the Star Trek movies, um, First Contact and Wrath of Khan would be my two favorites. And I like First Contact because it doesn't it just starts boom, with a hammer, like sets everything up. It just goes. Funny rewatching it, you see this, when they're on the scenes on the on Earth with Riker and stuff, they're a lot slower and a little more relaxed and everything. Meanwhile, on the ship, everything's going to hell. And everything's a big battle, and it's all super tense. And Worf saying he'd kill Picard where he stood if he weren't such a how dare you call me a coward.
It
It
now
was
some people
intense.
probably don't like it, but I agree. It had a little bit of an Aliens feel to it, in terms of what was going on the ship.
Yeah. So
And
it is actually one of my favorites for the Star Trek.
well, we should discuss that on a regular show, because I really like it too. But it's like the Borg were such a huge threat in the show, right? It was like, oh my gosh, this thing, but they just amped it up to an insane level in this, where they were just like, taking over people, in seconds,
People are dying all over the place.
Yeah, it was really.
Kate Roberts says this Shakespeare film. You mean are you talking about First Contact? Is that what you're suggesting? First Contact is a Shakespeare film. Would fit with Picard.
Well,
He likes Shakespeare.
Captain Ahab,
Yeah, it's Captain. Yeah, it's more like Captain A. I mean, then what's her name? The girl there refers to it be Captain Ahab. It's pretty obvious, right? Like she can't. She goes right there. Okay. Any others, Cam, you want to talk of opening scenes?
No, nothing.
I don't know.
No.
Do we want to talk about the best science fiction films? I mean, that's kind of.
No, I think we're talking about the.
How about the worst?
No, I think we leave it where we're at. We were talking. I think the opening scenes was a better topic for that. I don't want to waste a full topic at the tail end of the show here for best and worst. We could talk about crappy opening, or horrible opening scenes, if you want to go.
Oh yeah, that'd be hard. I'd have to go and do some. Though I'm tired of them. Jurassic Park opening scenes were pretty good. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many Jurassic Parks. I mean, it's a great idea, and they do a good job in the movies. But now we're at 6 films now. I mean, that's a little bit, it's a little bit overdone. Why don't they just nuke those damn islands and be done with it? I have a list of another one would be we're over an hour. We don't have to do this, but world building. Some of the best world building in science fiction films. The most, and by best you kind of be the most detailed, or the assumptions that are made. Feeding it to you, you can kind of figure out what's going on, even though they don't really, they don't have to give you an opening crawl to tell you what's going on. That would be a good. We've already got our shows due for next week, and maybe we can do part 2 of this. It'd have to be in a couple weeks. But yeah, some of the best world building in science fiction films. That's more interesting than the best and the worst, right? Yeah. So I don't think I want to do it. Some of the worst though. What I have down here. Battlefield Earth. I think that's probably the worst.
Never saw it.
The worst science fiction. 2012, which I kind of enjoyed, because there's with what's his name,
John Cusack.
Cusack, yeah. I
What a
enjoyed that because
loser.
the scenes of the Earth's falling apart and the planes flying up where buildings are falling over them. I mean, it was pretty cool, but not a great film. Nice destruction of the Earth, though. That'd probably be. Oh, The Day After Tomorrow. Jake Gyllenhaal. The whole world freezes, and they're caught in a library and stuff. And I'm just like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, this is lame. Battlefield Earth or Highlander 2. Don't make me choose which is worth. I, I would have to say Battlefield. I mean, Highlander 2 was bad, but it wasn't Battlefield Earth bad, was it? I don't think so.
Oh, Michael brought up Idiocracy. It has an excellent opening scene, also, right?
Oh
This,
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, well, world building. He's bringing up for world building. Dune, Fifth Element, Matrix, Idiocracy. Yeah, some of those are on my list. I didn't have Idiocracy, but that's a good one.
Idiocracy, of
Idiocracy
course,
is
is
one of my favorite movies.
way ahead of its time.
Yeah, yeah. That's some of my yeah. I had some of those on there. Um, there's a little bit of overlap with world building and great opening scenes when I'm looking at my list. Though there are some movies on this world building which you would probably go, that's not really a great movie, science fiction movie, but some people seem to think it's got a good opening scene. Uh, they Live, 9-minute uncut fight scene. Just put on the glasses. I don't think I've seen They Live. Yeah, yeah, but it has electrolytes. That should be our new for the show. We've got electrolytes, but it has electrolytes. Dark City, yes, Dark City is on my list as one of the best world building.
Yeah, you know what? I
I,
was I was reading a little bit about Dark City this past week. I haven't seen that movie since it came out, so I forgot a lot about it. But really, I mean, this was before The Matrix, so that's probably worth a whole episode to discuss that one because it's
yeah, we got to okay, so I got to see Dark City. I got to see Children of Men. That's another one that is quite uh, good. And if you haven't seen them, we should see those. I mean, you should watch them, guys, if you haven't seen them. Yeah, yeah. I don't want to. You guys are talking. I don't want to comment because there's a couple of good ones here. I got one in here that's pretty good that I don't think is something that people would think of right off
you
the
don't have a
bat.
horrible one.
But no, this is for world building. I've got one that's good for
Oh,
world building, and I don't think it's something that wouldn't stand out to people right off the bat. But when when you say it, you're like, oh yeah, yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good. World building. Chronicles of Riddick. Think so?
I've
Really?
never seen that.
You've never
Or
seen
what was
Chronicles
the
of Riddick?
first one? It was something dark or
It's kind of weird, because it's kind of hard to figure out. Like the three Riddick movies are like they're tight. They're taken at different points in his life, and they're not really together. Like they don't fit. Just sort of like I think they just took stories out of when he saves the kid, and then it's 10 years later the kid is. Pitch Black is the first one. That's whenever the bad things come out at night. And then the one, I think the one, I think is it Chronicles, the one where the rain. Oh damn it, Weatherman! Where the rain comes and all the creatures come out. I think that's the best one. It's got what's her name uh, from Battlestar Galactica as one of the mercenaries. That was the one I was thinking of. I was trying to keep it secret. District 9, pretty good in world building. Yeah, that's the one on my list. I think most people wouldn't come to their wouldn't come up first. But yeah, some good world building there. All right. So I don't talk too much about it because we're supposed to sit. We'll save it for our next show. Cam, we'll do it after the in a couple weeks. What do you think?
sure, okay.
Best world building we could probably do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's my I dig that. I'll have to think about it in terms of sci-fi stuff.
maybe I should put the list of what I'm thinking about in the Riddick was the third film in the series with Katie Sackhoff. Katie Sackhoff is who I'm thinking of. She was the third one. The one with the I mean what's the middle one? Pitch Black was the first one. The middle one I forget was where Keith David's in that movie. It's with what's her name, M from the Bond movies, the female M. Um, where they're the death guys are killing everybody. It escapes me. Yeah, Brazil. That's on my list too. Brazil. Good world building. All right, maybe I should put the list of the ones I'm thinking about, Cam, in the comments before we do the show. People can look it up beforehand, and yeah,
Sure.
that sounds good. Okay, so normally we would do part 2 next week, but we can't because we've got scheduled. We got Tron scheduled for next week, and I haven't put it up yet, but we are going to have a special guest the week after, and we're going to look at Cam and our special guest are going to look at saving the black hole, changing it, discussing what could be done, what you do to change it, right? Say yes, you're right.
Yes.
Yes,
I mean,
we are doing that.
I already discussed it rather extensively in our black hole episode, which the exact number escapes me right now. Hold on, I'll find that while we're going here. But and I didn't honestly, I didn't really have a strong, oh, here's what I would change, but I will put a little time into that because I think it. Okay, so why don't you explain to the folks how this came about?
Well, it came about
with
because
this guest.
For me trolling Twitter, I just whatever comes up on my feed, and I happen to someone happened to say, hey, the black hole, I just saw the movie, blah blah blah. I liked it,
and his point was that could it have been done better, or
yeah,
what could have been done to make it better. So it's like, hey, that's right up our alley.
Yeah, and whenever I see that stuff, I usually post on there and said, hey, we did a show about this, because we did, and I post a link to the show, that kind of thing, right? Always trying to get more subs.
Right, you're
right?
a great producer.
And so that just came about, and he said, hey, I want to it'd be good to talk about. So I'm like, all right, well, that sounds like a show.
Right.
That's how we work around here.
Episode 25, it was the black hole retrospective.
Yeah, you haven't seen? We talked about it on one of our movie nights. Black hole, episode 25. Here, Rob, you can go look at that and see what we said.
I will link it here in 1 second.
The mom was a weak mom. Not enough love for her child and husband. What's that? Oh, you're talking about The Road. I think you're talking about The Road. I haven't seen The Road.
Oh, that was
is that a sci-fi film?
Look
it up. The Road.
That's a good question. I guess I'm not sure. No, I don't think it is.
2006, a post-apocalyptic novel by American writer Cormac McCarthy, and a 2009 film based on the novel. Viggo Mortensen. I mean, he's good. Man's young son struggling to survive after an unspecified catastrophe results in an extinction event, causing the death of all plant life and virtually all animal life. 2009. Praise, BAFTA nomination, best in cinematography. Yeah, science fiction. Viggo Mortensen. How bad could it be? always finding out about movies that I haven't watched, which is good. I can put something on the list because there's so much crap out. Dread for dystopian world building. Yeah. Do I have Dread on there? I think I have. Let me look at my list. I don't have Dread. I guess it's pretty good. The Dread movie didn't really have a lot of. I don't know. Would Dread have a lot of world building? It's kind of just like, hey, here it is. I mean, they kind of assume everything. Yeah. I really like the new Dread with Carl Urban. Really good. And supposedly recently we've heard that it's supposed to they're going to be doing a follow-up to it, and I think it's going to be a TV show, Cam. So that's good for you, right?
A Dread TV show?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Probably, like a typical, 8 or 6 or 8 or 10 episode, Apple TV type of deal. I don't know who it's on. I think maybe Paramount. I'm not sure, but it might give it. But it was a good movie. Like I said, I just watched it again last night. Happened to be just flipping around, and I'm like, oh, Dread, really well done. And I think Carl Urban is. I like him as an actor. I think he's really good in that role as Dread. Yeah, he does a good job.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna put off world building till next time. So next week, again, real quick. Next week, movie night. Yep, Carl Urban gonna reprise the role in the TV series. Then we're gonna do after that. We'll talk about the black hole, and then let's try to do part 2. Sci-fi movies, best world building. That's what we'll focus on. Best and the worst. Best movies. That's everybody can do that. All right. Okay. Thanks, Dave. Thanks. Glad you enjoyed the show. We have one more thing we have to do. We have to have the jokes, and this time it's good special joke segment. So everybody hung in to the end. It's going to be.
So you're going to punish them for hanging.
Yes. Thanks for hanging in the end. You're going to be punished. And that's funny because they're all puns.
All
Not
right,
jokes today, puns.
Let's get it over with.
Okay. I think, that's a good one. I'll save that one to the end. All right. Why are pets bad at hosting movie nights?
I don't know. Why are
Because
pets
every
bad at
time they
hosting
touch the remote, they pause it. Get it? Pause the remote.
Yep.
Pause the movie, but also pause because their hands and feet are paused.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it. Okay, good. What did Grandma say when her dentures fell out after watching a bad movie?
I don't know. What did Grandma say when her dentures fell after watching a bad movie?
Hey, Grandpa, I need motif. Get it? More teeth. Motif, but also more teeth.
I think that's racist.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This one is more in line with us. My brother had a bad reaction to a nut while we were watching a Star Trek movie a while back. The incident is forever referred to as the Wrath of Pecan.
Okay.
My internet service was suspended because I gave a movie 3.14 stars on a movie review site. They said that rating stuff was illegal. Pirating. Get it? Pi 3.14.
Yep.
That's the number for pi.
Got it.
Why do bankers make really bad movies?
How many are there?
They're tellers, not showers. Get it? Tellers, bank tellers. Bank tellers. Okay, last one. You might like this one. Maybe not, but maybe. Super Mario is Japanese, so technically his last name is Mario. His first name is Itsumi, making him Itsumi Mario. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I'm sure everyone enjoyed those puns. That'll be a special thing. When we go back to jokes, I guess, next week. All right. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. We appreciate you. Next Wednesday is our next show, Babylon 5 retrospective. And what are we doing, Cam? Are we? What's the episode? Do you know?
It's episode 17.
17.
Hold on,
Legacies, I think it's called.
Okay, and then after that we have a 2-parter.
Yeah, and then I mean we're getting near the end, right? There's only 22 episodes this season, 22. So yeah. We've got A Voice in the Wilderness Part 1 and 2, Babylon Squared, The Quality of Mercy, and then Chrysalis. That's it for the season. Wow. Yeah, oh man, cool. We're gonna have to decide if we're gonna go on to season 2 or not. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for showing up. We appreciate you coming in. We love interacting with the chat. So come in, give
Yes,
your 2
chat.
cents,
Thanks for
make
saving us.
and make your comments. We appreciate that. And hopefully we'll see you next week, or if not, on Wednesday. Good night, everyone.
Good night.